Hello, everyone. Welcome, Simulation 275. Hope everybody are doing great. Let's also start the Discord group today. I feel like maybe we're going to have some takers. There you go, open for everybody on Discord. If you want to follow us on Twitch, it's LaserX83 Guru. How are you? LaserX83 C Bro. Good to see you. Welcome, everybody. Simulation Talk. Boom. CodeOfReality.com is our website. Welcome to everybody on TikTok. Marcus. Static Symmetry. Welcome, everybody. Veronica. Eva. Good to see you. Okay. How everybody doing today? Good beginning of the week. It's up to brutal. Good to see everybody. Okay, let's see if we can dive into a few questions. And again, if you guys are part of Discord, first of all, if you're not, you should definitely come and join Discord. You can find the link in the link tree in the description on TikTok and also on YouTube in the main page. What's up, Joshua? Hello. My brightness in the house. And if you mark in PCB, I see that you came on the stage on Discord. So if you guys want to chat and you have a good topic, not just rants, but you have a good topic that we can kind of analyze together or go back and forth on, more than welcome that. Please raise your hand and I'll bring you up. Thank you, Guru, for notifying everybody. What's up, Freeman? Waffle time, great handle. What is the all rabbit hole? I don't even know what that is. You have to inform me. What's up, baby girl? Oh, you guys are crazy. Here we go. It's going to be a battle of the giants. How are you, Freeman? This is the third time your channel has popped up, and I have no idea why. Well, welcome. Maybe I'm suggested in some way. On YouTube, nothing is random. Sounds familiar. Theory of apophasia. Let's refresh my memory. You mean apophysis? Not sure otherwise. You guys are crazy? Hi, Cosmo. Chill. My dogs are playing, and they're giant, so when they're playing, it sounds like wolves fighting in the woods. Cosmo, let's settle. What's up, Arloff? Elusive saying, Elusive Truth saying, I was just watching Danny Jones. The inscription on the ring in the Lord of the Rings is written in black speech of Mordor and uses tongue war on Elvish writing system. Fascinating. I have no idea what any of that meant, but thank you. Use Corolla decalcifying pineal gland. No idea. Never tried it. Okay. Thank you so much for the rose. Can't really read the handle very well. Free will, we're probably not going to get into anymore on this channel. Maybe a year from now, but we touched on the subject so much. We literally devoted maybe 5 different lives to this. So I think we're free willed out, I believe, and I think most of yours are as well. But you're welcome to come to Dango Thoughts on YouTube, DANGO Thoughts. I think Members Live 21 was completely dedicated to this topic, in which we went deep. We talked about Bernardo Kastrup, his analysis of the situation, and many other fine thoughts. But there's also non-paid lives. I just don't remember which one they are, but we literally dedicated like at least 5 or 6 of them. So I love the topic, but we just, we spoke about it so much that I don't think we can talk about it much more. But thank you for the question. Any advice on dealing with haters? You don't. You enjoy the fact that you have haters. If you have haters, that means you've done something. Otherwise, you only have haters if you've done something enough to be noticed. So enjoy the ride. This is what it is. It's part of me. It's part of doing something that matters. Enjoy it. Don't engage with haters, because they're not there to be persuaded. How does the phrase go? I'm gonna butcher it, but something like, you don't need to explain yourself to your friends, and you can't explain yourself to your enemies. In other words, when people are not interested in understanding what you're actually doing, they never will. So just enjoy the fact that there's detractors. That's a good sign. I mean, if you feel like being entertained and you just want to feel like blowing off some steam, I'm telling you, that's a slippery slope. The second you start going down a rabbit hole, the second it grabs you, the second they say one thing, it kind of makes you question yourself. They gotcha. They gotcha. Now they're going to pull you down into this infinite whirlwind of nonsense. Don't engage with it. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Good to see you, Parov. Dan Jones just said that when he was with you, he said the code looked like text on the ring. Oh, maybe. I mean, he only saw it once really clearly, so we'll do it again. It really made me laugh that he said that he saw a billion dicks. It was hilarious. I mean, I have it recorded. It's really funny. You got it, AK Gaziev. Jason Keeney. Today was also Rizwan Verk on Danny Jones. Another good, what should I call it? A fellow traveler, simulation theory. Good episode. Thank you, Guru, for reminding everybody. Fire in the Cosmos from X. Good to see comments from X saying, any thoughts on what it means for people spontaneously getting glimpses of a light grid, perhaps similar to your molecule-induced one, overlaid in the sky space without any substances, and who aren't into these topics? Who aren't into these topics? Interesting. So first of all, I would say it has to do, all of these abilities of people to perceive these things without molecules is usually the case. I would say it's because they are more sensitive to whatever more is going on. They're more tuned out, maybe, from just this space, so they can actually perceive more of the other space. It might have something to do with their level of development. I would even postulate that's the case. But if they can't turn it off, then I guess they're not that developed. The whole point is that you should be able to control what level of perception you dialed into, and that is the true development, I would say. But I think it's a product of people being a little bit more evolved, maybe, and they can see more. They can probably also feel more energy moving through their body. They probably have access to more information, but very often they don't really have a good way to channel all of this information, which can become problematic? That's a great question. And just a quick reminder, if you guys want to follow us on Twitch, it's LaserX83 on Twitch. LaserX83. Theoria Apophysis channel has a lot of interesting info about magnetic field and gravity and light. I'm hoping there could be some inspiration for your experiment there. Well, thank you for letting me know. Yeah, we can definitely check it out. You got a fire in the cosmos. And yeah, I've even met some people that are saying that they see the code without the molecule in the laser, which is very interesting. We're going to be studying this. No, come on, TikTok. Come on, TikTok. Welcome all the new people that are coming. Good to see you. Do we have more life advice? Those are fun. Too brutal. Let me see if we have any. Nope, nobody on Discord. What's up, Kana? Kana Buddha. I like it. See what else we can get into today. Waffle time is. Are you still here? Daniel! How are you, my brother? So good to see you. Thank you so much, Elusive, for the gift. Much appreciated. My eyes. What a question. My eyes are brown. I don't know if you can see because there's not a lot of light coming in, but they were green, and I guess they're kind of like hazel still. When they absorb a lot of sun, they become a hazel again, but mostly brown. Quartz banger. Is that a color? That's a great. What's your eye color? Quartz banger. I like it. That's what I'm going to answer from now on. Oh, glad to see you're still here. So what kind of stuff are you usually into, Waffle Time? Why do you think this channel was suggested to you? And by the way, if you guys are new, I haven't done an intro for the channel for a while. This channel mostly revolves around the simulation. I'm tempted to say hypothesis, but I'm not really proposing a hypothesis because hypotheses are already out there. This channel is mostly around the simulation fact, for me at least. My name is Danny, and I'm claiming that I found proof that we live in a simulation, and we meet here on the daily to discuss that, plus a lot of other fascinating things like science, religion, spirituality, philosophy, God, whatever really comes to mind. Depending on what mood you catch me on, if it's spicy, if it's spiky, if it's loving, if it's calm, we have very different kinds of conversations, and we embrace them, or at least I embrace them. So welcome, everybody. Supper og dog. Dope. Elusive Truth has many, many questions. Let's start with one. Let's go one at a time. Questions are good. They're good guiding principles. Terry, how are you, my brother? So good to see you. Are you with the family again? So good to see you every time. Quartz banger is, is a green extract in smoke. Well, from now on, it's also the color of my eyes. Quartz banger, baby. What up from Hawaii? Travis. Can you please say hi to my beautiful wife, Jennifer? Hello, beautiful wife. Terry's beautiful wife, Jennifer. Good to have you with us. Waffle Time saying I'm interested in random things, but don't really watch videos about it. I've thought about simulation theory a tiny bit, but haven't dove in much. Cool. So I'm basically proposing an experiment that I'm claiming that I've discovered that if you project a diffracted laser on the surface and you ingest the spirit molecule, cannot really name it because we're on TikTok live as well and they're very, very fussy, you will see what seems to be a self-executing code of some sort. And this observation has now been replicated thousands of times and has become somewhat of a subcultural phenomenon in which people kind of like trying it out. That's the gist of what we do here. Insectoid entities, what about them? I mean, there's a lot of different entities. I've actually personally never seen elves or self-dribbling jeweled basketballs for that matter, but I've definitely seen the insectoids. How are you, Sarah? Good to see you. Interested in science, finance, nature, aviation, you name it. Amazing. Well, we talk about a lot of these things, especially science, and science is one of our favorite subjects, at least mine. What's up, Ken? Jackie, good to see you. Jackie says elves would be her favorite. Guru, thank you so much for being on it. What's up, Ellipsian? I thought it was pretty cool how you introduced Riz to Danny. Oh, he talked about that? Oh, that's cool. I miss you too. Thank you so much for the rose. Appreciate you. Do animals have souls? Well, of course. Any living thing, I would say. I think that the concept of the soul, like if you're really asking, I think it's a little bit obviously dumbed down from what it might really be. I'm always interested in what the things really are. And very often it's very difficult to say. People are happy with the version that has been told to them. I'm never happy with that version. I was interested in what the thing really is. So I think the soul, if anything, we would share a soul. I don't think each person has an individual soul or each animal has an individual soul. I think this whole region of reality has one collective soul. Cockroaches would be included, weirdly enough. Thank you so much for reminding us, Guru. I appreciate you. There you go. Ken knows. How are you doing tonight, Ellipsian? Did I get a song sample, by the way? Where did you send it? To an email? To my email? How long ago? All living things emit biophotons. Soul may be collective biophotonic field. Well, it's another way of putting it. That's very possible. Rocks. Okay, cool. Last week. If you sent it, I definitely received it and I moved it forward for sure. But I will double check. Thank you for the comment. Let me put it in my calendar. We will say check if received sample music sample from Ellipsian. There you go. Done. I will check. What religion do you think is most scientifically accurate? Scientifically, none of them. What seems to me the most relevant to us currently and probably the most accurate in terms of what is important for us to know and understand at scale in the time frames that we have, I would say Christianity. Even though I don't necessarily consider myself a Christian, I've witnessed enough information from hyperspace that actually, to be quite honest, surprised me. I did not expect to see it, but about the validity of the claims about Jesus Christ. And that was, I'll be honest, that was weird for me, but it is what it is. If I see myself as anything, it is as a unbiased, honest reporter. And sometimes it's difficult to kind of know because our brains confabulate a lot of things, especially when it comes to complex information. But yeah, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I've seen that Jesus Christ, in fact, is the Lord and Savior, which was very uncomfortable for me, to be quite honest, because I am consider myself a pretty secular person. Oh, awesome! Yeah. Well, Aaron is the only one that makes these decisions, Ellipsian. So he's not also on it, but if he's on it, that means somebody's on it. What's up, Benevolent Sky? So good to see you. Brittany Wykes is here. Elaborate on you mean the Jesus bit? Yeah, I spoke about it quite a bit, and it's a deep rabbit hole, Brittany. I promised to release a video about this, but the gist of it is that I've once, and I guess the best, thank you so much. I guess the best that I can say is that, let's see how I shorten this story without making it another 30 minutes rant. Um, the short version of it is that, and this is where I have to kind of give a disclaimer. I'm not claiming that, I'm not expecting anybody to accept what I'm saying just because I'm saying it, to be super clear. I also don't understand why people are so convinced that whatever they've experienced is the ultimate thing. That being said, because of the very unique and weird role that I'm kind of finding myself playing in the story of humanity at the moment, I think what was shown to me was basically under the banner of, well, you wanted to know, here's the full picture. That's basically what was the whole execution of this visionary scenario. And in that visionary scenario, I was shown that the whole system is this very complex thing. They showed me a bunch of things about it, how a multiverse kind of works, how we all exist in our own personal reality, but also other people are also, they have their own personal realities. So you in your own reality, I'm in my own reality, and we are only interacting with each other's avatars. So in your world, I'm a projection. In my world, you're a projection, unless we open the channel of love. If we actually open this channel of pure love, then all of a sudden it's a safe channel, and then we're being transported to a shared space. And in that space, this is why it feels when you fall in love with someone that you're the only two people in the world, because you're quite literally the only two conscious agents in the world in that moment. Then they showed me that there's this entire series of different gods, the biblical God being one of them. The uncomfortable part for Christians is that he's not at the top. At the top, there's actually a woman. And no, it's not Gaia, because Gaia is Earth, and we're talking about outside of our reality. And they showed me that Jesus Christ is exactly who the Bible claims he is. And basically, I saw him ascending, going through this whole transformation, and kind of like we entering a new age, so to speak, in which we start collectively sharing the responsibility of our karma. Not individually yet, but we're kind of taking the baton back from Jesus. He kind of finishes his contract after the next cycle, and we begin the next cycle as, I guess, Christ consciousness together, so to speak. That's the gist of everything that I saw. Sophia, I doubt it. We're talking about the top. Sophia is not the top, even in the Sophia story. Believe this scenario? Not sure what you mean. Uh, it's been your theory that Jesus is the real deal. Is that what you mean? Like, you mean you're a Christian? Tibetan monks are lights ahead of Christianity. So it's interesting because I personally am leaning a lot more towards the uh, Eastern traditions. I am a meditator. I've been doing Vipassana for many years. I've done many retreats, and um, I do find a lot more use from it, and I am seeing the differences of it in my life. But I can't shake off the fact that what I was shown was under the banner of this is what's going on. So it might be that the Buddha basically discovered this kind of way to dissolve outside of the status quo, outside of the system, the way it was constructed. That might be the case. There's another possibility that, we have to leave it open, which is that the Buddha was wrong. That's the other possibility. So I don't know. I'm just reporting what I saw. They're using AI and MRI to see what your mind see now. Just wonder if they're studying this also. It seems like DARPA would be drooling over this. You'll be surprised how much less of a connection there is to the cutting edge understanding of the world than people assume that exists. I think, if anything, the biggest psyop of all time is that the government creating these sub stories or agencies in governments to basically make people believe that the government actually knows a lot more by pretending they don't in a way that makes you think that they do, but in reality, they don't. But that's what seems to be the case. That actually nobody knows anything, or nobody knows anything substantial. And the only thing that is happening is that everybody are in the business of convincing everybody uh, in different subtle and not so subtle ways that they know a lot more than they do. But the reality is, if you ask me, is that nobody knows what's going on. And that is obviously the position that Terence McKenna used to take, and I think it's a correct one. And I think that actually goes quite high, beyond our layers. In other words, even the gods don't know certain things. What do you think Jesus learned? What do you mean by that? I mean, you're talking about outside of the mainstream story. You know something the Bible doesn't. Jesus looked exactly like you would expect him in the Bible. This was the weird part, that they could have showed me a general image of a Messiah, as if to say, "Hey, this thing that you guys believe is the Messiah, there is such a thing, but it's not what you think it is," which is what I would expect it to be. But that's not what they showed me. They showed me Jesus Christ exactly how he shows up in the Bible. It was very specific and it was very explicit, which I didn't expect. Um, Good night, Waffle Time. Good to have you, though. That was actually on 4ACO experience, but I don't think it's necessarily the substance. It was more like when the channel is open, they can basically project whatever they want into the channel. And that was very much kind of like a diagram of how everything is constructed. I promised to make a video about this, and I will eventually. Right now, there's just too many things going on. You noticed that glitch? Which glitch, Guru? How was it with the red light therapy? Problematic. Something to this, but when I had some dental work done, it hurt all the way. Damn. Thank you so much. Mistaken Myra. Appreciate you. Is Christianity the religion belief system you are most aware? know the most about. Not at all. I was the furthest from knowing a lot of things about Christianity. I mean, I know of it, but I didn't even grow up in this system. So I was never in relationship to Jesus whatsoever. I was born in Russia, where at the time it was a completely secular place and nobody cared about this. This is not even in my hard drive whatsoever. This is the last thing I expected to see. Let's just put it that way. After all my experiences and everything that I've experienced in my life, that is pretty wild. You know, my expectation would be just kind of an infinite ball of illuminous darkness or something, some metaphorical craziness that kind of negates itself. Like a really big mind fuck is what I would expect, right? I wouldn't expect it to be some kind of a, oh, Jesus. Like that's completely outside of the wheelhouse of, well, first of all, my understanding in depth. I mean, obviously, I know what most people know, which is kind of generalities and a little bit more. But by no means any religious scholar, or am not religious, so I didn't really expect to see that whatsoever. There's really zero reasons for that because that's not my bias. Furthest from it. Yeah, I actually think that the symbols don't matter as much as people think they are. I think the structure is the thing that is actually being pointed to. The structure is the important thing, not the symbols. Reading through the comments real quick. I don't think Jesus ever spoke about code, guys. That is simply incorrect. You gotta be. I feel like I was given some type of energy or something to give help to others. Beautiful. You should exercise that energy. It was given to you for a reason. I was shown that we need to be following Jesus' teachings. See? Brittany, would you consider yourself Christian? A Christian? Thank you so much for the gifts, guys, and the badges. Where am I from, bro? I was born in Moscow, actually, but I'm an American. I live in the U.S. I agree. He definitely showed me he's not to be worshipped. You talking about Jesus? Takedumo. Молодец. Oh, I think. Wait, I think Dimitri is trying to come on. How you doing, brother?
Danny, how's it going, brother?
Good. How are you? Hold on. Would you do me a favor? Because the way that it's set up, I have it right now. People on YouTube, because of the noise cancellation, they won't be able to hear you. Would you be able to go on Discord and jump on our stage? Because that way everybody can hear you really well.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me drop down and try to do that.
Cool. So you are you on our Discord right now, or like in general?
I think I am, but
So the link you don't need to search for it. There's a link tree in my bio on TikTok right up here, on my page, and just click on the Discord. And if you're already a member, it will just go there. And then when you're in there, then scroll down. There's a core stage, and it's on right now, so you can actually join. And then when I see you, just raise your hand, and I'll bring you up. Oh, the mind is saying she can hear you. You guys can hear him, okay? I think Dimitri can hear me. He went to search for the thing. Either way, if it's gonna get there, it's gonna be better because you're gonna hear him a lot better.
Okay, you said you hear me?
I think they can hear you, guys. Can you all vote? Say thumbs up or that you can hear him. Okay. Say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Can you hear him? Okay, cool. They can hear you. Awesome.
Okay.
No, he's still on TikTok, so and they're like, it's better. It's the same.
See, I wanted to jump on. I don't know if you saw my comment.
Which one?
I typed in that Jesus was a human being.
Mm-hmm.
If we're agreeing, if we're in the agreement that Jesus was a historical figure that taught people to love each other and love their neighbor, then he was a human being.
Mm-hmm.
And all human beings in history have produced naturally synthesized dimethyltryptamine.
Okay.
So because Jesus was a human being, he was also producing this DMT in his body naturally, just like me and you are.
Mm-hmm.
So my theory is that Jesus was highly enlightened and that he was able to access higher consciousness because he was releasing more DMT in his system. Some people call it sacred secretion. Some people call it transcendental meditation.
Mm-hmm.
But he was actually trying to teach people how to do this as well. And a lot of his teachings say that God is within you. The kingdom of God is inside of you, not in the church, not in sticks and stones. And he was actually meditating and not praying.
Yeah. So this is why I'm kind of in a weird position, because if I have to just look at my impression from all my experiences in general, and also the thing that makes the most sense to me, I would say everything you said is spot on. But if I have to go by, there's a particular channel in hyperspace that I've identified is an official message from their government and not some kind of a random execution of a content, let's say. Then that was an official message from their government. That was not a, well, did you consider this? They were like, no, here's how it goes. So now I'm in a weird position because obviously if I'm just saying it to you, if I were you and you were me, I don't think I would ever accept what you said just because you said it. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me, right? Unless you had that experience for yourself. So I'm not sure why truly it was even shown to me, because I'm not a Christian. I'm not like, I don't care about this stuff. Like, it just doesn't move me inside. Other things do, but that doesn't. And if I have to follow what I was shown, what you said is incorrect. So basically, so basically, no. So I just
actually performing miracles. Regardless of that, he was a human being. So
no. So they showed me. So that's what I'm saying. So just to be super clear, to me, this is not even like who's right. Like, I have no idea. All I'm saying to you is that I'm reporting, right? So if I have to report the part that I'm saying, that you're saying, if I have to follow what they showed me, if I'm following that, then what you said is incorrect. In that, no, he was not a man; he was God embodied. And in fact, it is also incorrect, if we're following what they showed me. It is also incorrect that we are all just like Jesus. We're not. So it's actually, he is different. He is in fact the perfect, and it's not even that he was the perfect man. He was God embodied, and God did that to experience suffering to the extent that humans can't, so he can understand the conundrum people are in, so he can actually create a plan that can help them out of the situation. And what it showed me is that, in fact, the whole continuum of what gods are in quality is different in kind, not just in degree, from humans. So we can never become gods. So, like, I know the modern trope is that no. What Jesus meant to say, I'm the Son of God, but you are too. Like, I'm familiar with all of that, right? And you can also achieve enlightenment. So basically, Jesus is the Buddha. But if I'm following what they showed me, no, Jesus was not the Buddha. He was a magic man. He was literally God. And gods are not the kind of thing that we are. So we can become a lot more than what we are in our space. But they showed me that there are gods, but they are a different thing. They're not like us. They're a completely different kind of thing outside of our reality. And there's continuum to it and all of that stuff. Now, what is the value of that? I'm not 100% sure yet. I mean, obviously, Christians would give you a very simple answer. They would say, well, what do you mean? Like, the value is that you have to follow Jesus. I think the answer is not that simple. I think that there's more to that. I might be wrong about that. It might have been like they just showed me what it is, and now I'm just doing a lot of mental acrobatics to kind of escape it. But in this context, I would agree 100% with everything you said, and yet I would have to also admit that if I am following the signs that they're giving me and have been giving me that led me to the laser, to everything else, then if I want to be consistent, I have to follow that too. And then I would have to accept that if I would be accepting what you said, I have to tell myself I was wrong. That was actually incorrect. So there's actually a truth to the matter, and it matters. So like the Buddha, so if you have to try and connect maybe obviously I thought a lot about how does it connect to the ultimate picture with what the Buddha discovered, because that's the thing I know the most about. And also from practice, because I am practicing meditation. I'm not just like reading about it. So I know there are states that can be achieved by utilizing your attention in particular ways. But the interesting thing, and I think you heard me say this before, this is a less known fact, but it is a fact. The Buddha, aside from telling stories and allegories, never said a word about anything beyond our regular space. Like Buddha never spoke about other realms. Everything that we think of the Buddha saying things about other realms, he never said. It's all people came after him that wrote a lot of religious stories about what they think the Buddha meant. But the Buddha, if you would come to the Buddha, all he would do is to teach you how to meditate. That's it. Because according to the Buddha, the one innovation that the Buddha did that didn't exist until him, because there were other, like meditation already existed. He didn't invent it. What he innovated, quote unquote, is that there is no other way to salvation but your own path. And it means that you are your own guru. You are your own master. So you have to practice. You cannot just read about it. You can just listen to sermons. It's not going to help you. You actually have to practice for yourself, which again, I think you would agree with that. And I think I would absolutely agree with that. How do I reconcile it with what I was shown? Not sure. So like you and I are on the same page. There's really no difference between your perception, it sounds, and my perception. But I have this weird experience that I've had that was shown to me very matter-of-factly. Like it was not like a, like my eyes were rolling back into my head. Like I wasn't like channeling anything. They're just like, oh, you want to know? Okay, here's a diagram. Here's how it works.
So I have two things up.
Sure. Say to that. Hold on, let me before I continue, let me just close the door. Hold on. Go ahead.
So the first one has to do with our perception of reality and how we perceive from our own vantage point. Even when you're traveling through these other worlds and meeting entities that are giving you information, your understanding is still subjective.
Sure.
So the information you get from whoever's giving you that knowledge is limited in the way you understand it, and it's also limited from their perspective of how much they understand.
How much you understand,
actual truth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's not to say that it's invalid. It's just to say it gives it enough space to say that it's possible that it's not valid.
Absolutely. This is why I said, what is the ultimate cash value of it? I'm not sure, and I'm not claiming to know. But so there's one particular part that, for example, this is the thing that I always get into with my really close friends and my family and my loved ones, which I stopped trying to explain because it sounds like I'm just putting myself on a pedestal. But the one thing, we all, I think, playing a particular role in this universal game, right? We all have like special gifts and we all kind of do them in a particular, on different levels. And we can evolve, right? So if I have to identify one, for me, is honest reporting. And I think the reason, if I have to kind of like analyze it, is because it's like I've always been in a way where I'm actually not projecting much. So like all humans, I have some moments like with people and stuff like that. You can sometimes like have an impression of, you know, somebody doing something that they weren't, because you have an idea of what you think they're doing, all that stuff. That's of course is still there. I'm very, very normal in that way. But when it comes to like these really wild things, I don't know why, but I become like super neutral. Like I never have the predisposition to project something on it. Never. And in fact, for years, I'm now been doing psychedelics for 30 years. So I went really deep into these spaces for a very long time. And for a very long time out of that, it was mostly kind of like, huh. And that's it. Like it never like I never thought, oh, let's try and construct a story from it. What does it mean? Like I never thought of doing that. It's only when they started showing me things very specifically, like straight up, like somebody rolls in a TV into a class and like shows me a diagram, when I was like, wait, what? Like that's not on the map. I've never seen anything like this, right? That's the series of events that eventually led me to the laser. And from that point on, I realized, no, what they're saying is, no, you should try and, because you're on it. Like there's a neutrality there that allows what it really is to come through. So there's a difference between you have an impression of what it is, and that impression is always fallible. But with enough interaction with something, like when you know a person long enough, when you know a group of people long enough, you have a better understanding of what it is, how it is, what you should expect from it, and how things go. It doesn't mean it can't surprise you once in a while still. But for all intents and purposes, you know it. Like you know it. And and to that extent, I would say I have kind of, this is why I have to be very careful with my words, because it's a minefield. Because the second you say the wrong word here, it kind of feels like, oh, here it is, like delusions of grandeur, all that stuff, right? This is why I stopped having this conversation with anybody, that because my intention is not to convince anyone. I'm just making information that I believe is important because it was shown to me through a particular channel available. That's it. I will never try and convince anyone of that. So the best way of saying it is I managed to discern which ones are just content creation and which ones are like official statements. And official statements exist. So then when they're official statements, they look different, they feel different, they're always the same. They never have like extra blows and like all kinds of like, you know, things that are attached to it. It's just like mainstream message, almost like an official, like you would get, I don't know, an official email from Apple versus like some you know, weird sales, whatever.
I understand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been traveling with the external source and naturally with meditation for over 15 years as well. I actually studied a lot of this in Southeast Asia. I traveled to Southeast Asia for 7 months. So I believe what you're saying from just human perspective.
Yeah. So that being said,
everything you said,
yeah,
I believe it, but yet it doesn't mean it's true, right?
Absolutely. But I also I'm not trying to convince you of it. So I guess what I'm searching for through interactions like this is what can be so like, I think there's something that happened during our current stage of evolution that sent us slightly down a confused path. And I'm actually not talking about the thing that everybody thinks about, which is like, you know, capitalism and all that stuff. I'm actually talking about there's a mini channel that we just clicked on that I think is dancing with delusion for no reason, which is I'm creating my own reality. End of story. Right? There's no actual objective truth to anything. It's just everybody's perception, and it is different. And there's never anything you can say to anyone else that somehow maps to something that is objective.
I believe that.
I think that's delusional. So, and I'll tell you why. Because clearly, at least for this moment, right, there's the fact that you cannot walk through the wall. Now you can play this game of like, well, like it's because we all agreed on it. Like, okay, listen, you don't know any of this, right? So right now you can't walk through the wall, whatever the reason. So whatever the reason means that there's some structure that constrains you in some way. I think that neglecting that sends you down a path that we might not actually recover from. Because I'm noticing that everybody are kind of convinced of this, like very, very seriously. And it's not that I agree that reality is more malleable than we so far believed. You can definitely manifest things. You can kind of guide your own trajectory through reality. You can choose timeline, so to speak. But there's a momentum to every choice. So the second you make a choice, whatever it is, now you're gliding through this new, some kind of unfolding. That unfolding has a momentum to it. And what I'm saying is that momentum was placed there, not by you, and it is important why it's there. And I know that it's a very unpopular idea, especially in the modern, spiritual space, but I think it's one that needs to be addressed. And until we address it, we're always going to kind of we're going to keep misunderstanding the situation. Go ahead.
So you can have both. You can have both. And this will be the last thing I say because I have to jump off.
Oh, sure.
Coming in soon. So you can have both. A code that is written, whether you want to think it's a holographic universe or it's all a projected universe from the singularity, whatever you believe.
Mm-hmm.
We do have laws, and there are laws that we have to follow in this physical world.
Mm-hmm.
And at the same time, every single human being views reality differently because.
Oh, you cutting out. You went, yeah. Yeah, I can hear you now.
That's the call it's going to take. Every single human being views reality from their own subjective perspective. So you can have that code that we all have to follow by. And still, every single person on earth is going to view it differently, believe it differently, believe or not believe. And they still have their own reality because they're their own consciousness.
So before you jump off, and I appreciate you and I appreciate your time, I'll say one thing. I agree with you, just not infinitely different. And that allows for the bridges of communication.
But no two people on earth have ever viewed reality the same way.
Not exactly the same, but close enough to have consensus reality.
I don't even think it's that close, but the consensus reality is that we agree on a lot of the major laws that we have to follow. But love your work, brother.
Thank you, brother.
I'll join in every time I get a chance.
Yeah. Come back if you finish the call. If you finish the call early enough, come back.
All right, brother. Have a good night.
All right, brother. Good night. Consciousness is unable to be studied. Well, to some degree, it's true because it's like a thing that tries to perceive itself. So from what you know, can we also co-create reality, or is it already set in stone? No, we're co-creating it all the time, yes. It's just that you're not the only one creating it. That's all I'm saying. Because I think a lot of people are insisting that they think that's the case. It was not religious. It was more like... it was more of on a molecule. Thank you, Chaos 101. Jesus is also a keen skateboarder. I bet he was. Is Jesus also part of the Mandela effect? That is funny. How are you, my brother?
Yo. I'm doing well. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Good to have you.
I'm running a spirit molecule simulation, like a vibrational one.
Okay.
Dude, this is so fucking cool, man.
What does that mean? Wait, I want to understand.
Like if you're so molecules vibrate because everything has thermal energy,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
But predicting the vibration amongst all the bonds
Uh-huh.
is a crazy problem. And there's some Meta released this open source model that essentially instead of doing the ground.
One second, brother. I'll have Nico finish speaking first. Go ahead, brother.
Instead of like running all the basic calculations, they trained a neural network to just predict how molecules vibrate.
Okay.
And so I'll post it on Discord when it finishes. It should be done in like a couple hours.
So so what's wild about it?
It's cool to see molecules vibrate. You know, it's like
that is crazy. I really want to see it. You're gonna share it on Discord?
Yeah, I'll share it on Discord. I wish NFTs were still a thing because I feel like these would be really cool NFTs.
See, those would be cool NFTs. Like especially, yeah, those would actually be cool NFTs. Because like, think about like a, yeah. Really enjoyed your conversation, Dimitri. Yeah, no, I wonder if this can be a whole economy of like imagine NFTs as experiences. Like you create experiences that you can upload. I think there was a movie like that. Strange Days, I think it was. Like, did you ever see it?
No, I never seen it.
Their form of the RUG was basically little discs that you can upload an experience that you've never had before.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
That would be a great NFT.
Yeah, you know, if Core, it's interesting because anytime anyone makes an NFT, people assume it's like or something.
Mm-hmm.
But man, these would be such cool NFTs for like Core at some point. But I mean, maybe it can just be like an inside thing. Maybe we can all just agree on like, hey, these are legit, things. And who knows, man? There might be some actual magic embedded in it,
I agree. And by the way, to your question, Benevolent Sky, very interested to learn about the woman at the top. Yeah, I would love to learn more about her too. From the only thing I understood from the behavior of all the other beings is that nobody messes with her. I always say because it was kind of very obvious, like you don't mess with her. That was an interesting thing. As in, she's a bad mama. I don't even know if I'm allowed to say any of that. Divine Mother? I'm sure she's divine if she's the ultimate thing, but from what I understood is like, dude, don't mess with her. Let me see what Piggy Butt wants to say. Oh, I think you're not muted, so why does it show that you're muted? Weird. Yeah, so you're not muted right now for me. I'm not sure why it still shows you're muted. Did you mute yourself? Maybe you can't hear me. Well, you can always come on. Or if it doesn't work for some reason, just jump off and then jump back on. But you're not muted on my end anymore. Hold on. What made you try this, Nico?
Oh, I'm playing with new packages when they come out, and just to see what's out there. Right now, we're putting together in September, we're going to launch an open source version of 10 million novel molecules.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all, it's all, out of the 10 million, we're probably going to do like 10,000 hardcore models.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're going to model the dynamics of it.
Mm-hmm.
So I got this grant with NVIDIA for $150K worth of cloud compute. So we're going to essentially just do open source science, right? So launch a project on the binding of these molecules to these different receptors and then put it out there. So hopefully a company, hopefully there's a gem in there where a company can, launch a product or something. But more importantly, it's a demo for our tool so people can kind of use our tool. But the cool thing about it is we're putting a transformer on it. So like if you wanted a specific molecule that targets a specific receptor to a specific magnitude, you could write that in and it generates that molecule. So the cool thing about that is for some reason if you wanted the 5-HT2A receptor, which is the receptor that all these molecules operate on, and you wanted to set the volume to max in terms of like the highest binding, then you can theoretically compute the strongest ever. And I actually looked at what it is. So I don't know. I hope this stuff doesn't get me in trouble. Is what I'm trying to say.
Like, wait, why would it?
Why would it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm scared, dude. I don't know. I'm just like generally, I just got naturalized, and so like my whole life I've been walking the line.
Yeah, but just so you know that, okay, so even though with like like you say, like with Trump, it was a little shit. Like the second you're naturalized, that's it. Like there's no, it's not a green card. That's like there's
that's what I've hoped my whole life. I've seen some of these stories online, like in the Wall Street Journal and stuff of like citizens getting, like in trouble and stuff. And for me, I feel, I don't feel safe, man.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
I've always felt, and this is a thing where it's like become embedded into my nervous system, where I'm always like on the verge of like, getting deported for some reason. So,
well, first of all, congratulations for being naturalized. I would.
It's actually very emotional. I thought I was like very cultured by the school system here, where I'm like, a card-carrying DSA member. But then when it happened, I was like full crying.
Isn't it crazy? Like I remember when I was naturalized. Wow, it was a while ago, and I remember like it was like a very powerful moment for me, and this is why I think there's something about like making an effort of being here that kind of you see it. All the people, they don't appreciate the being an American and how truly, like how great that is. Like we're so privileged, truly, just as Americans. And when I was and I remember I was driving through the mountains of Pasadena, and I looked at the mountains, and plus it's like my favorite thing, the mountains. And I'm driving there, and I'm like, wow, I'm an American. Like, this is home. This is my home. What is that? Oh, weird. Yeah. So, but that was definitely like a very emotional thing for me too. I was like, it was such an honor to like say I'm an American, and I know that it's so weird because now it's like almost like a slur sometimes for some reason for some people, but this is a very powerful thing for me. So I completely understand and feel you.
Yeah, I've only had that feeling once, and it's just always kind of, the funny thing is I grew up in this country, so I'm like, all the music that I listen to, everything I know, all the TV I watch, my whole entire operating system is freaking American, right? But for some reasons, like this invisible status has always like scared me.
I all I can say is that I've never been more honored to belong to something than to belong to this country. Yeah.
It's recently with all the crazy shit. Like sometimes I'll like
with all the crazy shit. With all the crazy shit. With all the crazy shit.
Like, oh my god, this is like.
It's like.
I'm safe.
It's cake, bro. It's cake. Like this is cake. This is like.
It's the safest place on earth. The funny thing is, I saw this video of this girl. She was like probably somewhere in Israel. There was some like siren that went off, and she got out of a car and started rolling on the freeway. Like everyone stopped. And I was like, dude, I am such a bitch. Like, I can't handle, for some some reason that was like a reality check for me, where I was like, yeah, like that would never happen here.
Yeah.
And
Somebody said, Ivan on YouTube said the Matrix has you. I'm happy. I would happily belong to this Matrix. You will always be part of some Matrix, brother. So if there's anyone that I would pick, it would be
what's funny is right now my YouTube algorithm has been showing me a lot of like debunking videos. I think I've been clicking on too many of them, so it's like this debunked, Lex Friedman debunked, right? All these people like debunked, and it got to one where it was like Mormons debunked, and then I clicked on it because I totally forgot this, but like I grew up in the U.S. Like we were kind of taken in by the Mormon Church, right? And so I had this very Mormon childhood, and I didn't realize that I was in like the most hardcore American cult. Like it's the most hardcore cult ever. Right? Yeah, it's like a very interesting branch of Christianity. But you know, when you told me the story of it, the Mormons have this story of the pre-existence, right? Which is like you're in this pre-existent spiritual realm. And you pick your parents, you pick your life, and you go into the spirit, or you go into this like real world from there. Right? I think you got a very similar like story of how it plays out, except they have a very convoluted hierarchy after you go to this like kingdom. If you like do well, you get your own like planet and your god, and there's all kinds of shenanigans. So it becomes very convoluted, but this debunker guy was like talking about, because one of the arguments that the Mormons have is like, how did a kid with a third grade education write this elaborate book?
Yeah.
And then the guy that was reviewing it was like, no, if you read it, it does read like a third grader about this entire religion.
This is great. I mean, they have magic underwear, right?
Yeah, magic underwear, etc. Yeah. So, anyways, it's a.
They're saying I am a Mormon.
I'm like, wow, I have like a very American upbringing, but
I mean, yeah, I guess.
We'll say is Mormons are kind of cool though. Like they're all nice. Like I think that's probably why I became like a nice person, because I was just around pointlessly happy people. Just like golden retrievers everywhere.
Basically, they're like the nicest people. I mean, I do hear some horror stories. They're not really horror stories, but like in comparison, like I do have some friends who kind of like, they call themselves recovering Mormons, right? And the whole thing, the one thing I know in Mormonism from my friends who were Mormon, that the one thing that is like a giant prize is that if you turn your back to the religion when the majority of your circles are still very much in the religion, you're kind of ostracized. Like there's no middle ground. There's like, you're out. Like you just basically, you're no longer part of the thing. And it's very rare when they're more accepting that way. So that's the one religion that kind of like doesn't take that, well, from all the Christian, I guess, ones, if you can call it a Christian one. But yeah. Do you find that to be true?
Excommunication. So that's why I left the church, was because they wanted me to go on a mission where you like ride your bike and surf. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really buying this. And so once I said no, they all kind of just cut me off. Man. Which was, in hindsight, kind of traumatic, because that's your entire like community just cuts you off. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But
and now, now you're making simulations of the molecule vibration. I mean, I can't wait to see what that even means. Can't even imagine what that means.
Yeah, I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna do it at a few different temperatures and then post it. But yeah, if we could use it somehow.
I should, if you have time tomorrow, we can jump on a quick one, like maybe 30-minute call. I want to fill you in on what's going on. Today we had a big meeting with the lawyer and everything, and to see if you maybe not now, but like maybe down the line you might want to get involved in some way. with things that are more mainstream, like not involving anything illegal or anything like this, because there's a lot going on, and we definitely need someone with your set of expertise and knowledge to help us with like large scale ideation and also how to execute these things. And you, so far, you've been so helpful in so many different ways, and if there's any way that somehow you can become part of the team one day, I mean, that would be amazing. So
yeah, I would like to get over this kind of like fear that I have like it was even like Joe Rogan was asked by someone like, oh, like you do these molecules, right? And he's like, no, they're like highly illegal. And I was like, should I be saying that too? Like, is that like
Joe is never worried about that. I think he was saying it more like kind of like to signal the absurdity, the fact that he can just kind of deny it and that's it. But yeah.
I think there should be some caption.
Oh, there we go.
I'm like super down, especially for simulations. I'm getting in the simulation mode, and I have a lot of access to compute right now, so we can definitely run some stuff. I was actually gonna run some compute. I was gonna try to go on TikTok Live and see if anyone is down to just watch these computations, because it looks like you're in the Matrix, right? It's just like just a wall of code.
Well, I'm excited to share what's going on. Let's jump on a call tomorrow about this.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm free after between 10:30 and noon.
Okay.
Or
Pacific time, right?
Yeah.
That might be perfect, actually. So I'm gonna text you tomorrow, and then we'll see what time. Don't jump off. I'm just saying this is just like a plan I'm making. Piggy, about what were you saying? You started saying something. Thank you, Evil Icon.
I was saying, yeah, I think it is good to be a little cautious when it comes to the things that we're dabbling with, especially when it comes to news, whether it be scientific, experimentations, breakthroughs, technology. You got it. It does. We are towing the line. There is a little bit of towing the line because legality does come into play at a certain point.
For sure. So if somebody's really trying to get you, they can basically utilize a lot of stuff. I mean, in the end of the day, there's only so much you can do to mitigate these things. But at least in America, like you can't. For example, the reason that Joe Rogan can so brazenly like talk about this stuff is because unless you're caught in the act, you can always say, hey, I was pretending. That wasn't what it was. Like you can do it on air. Like it doesn't matter. There's literally no part of the legal system that can nail you for that. But
if somebody also your friends, if you have the right friends, you can get away with a lot of stuff.
Exactly. Well, yes, and also the other way, right? You're right. Like if somebody really powerful is trying to really get you, it might be easy for them because they can put a lot of resources into just doing that. But this is why I'm trying to adhere to the code of that goes above everybody's pay grade on this level of reality. So as long as I adhere to that code, I feel like I'm good. Like if I'm
we're good. We're good.
Exactly. There's protection. Like I would never go against the grain of what it's trying to do. I'm coming always from the best place, and I don't always succeed because there's a lot of things you don't notice as a human that you might think you're doing something good, and all of a sudden you realize you hurt a bunch of people. That happens. But as long as you really came from a good place and then you correct your course, I mean, what else could you do, right? As long as you feel good about where you were coming from. That's the only thing I'm trying to
Okay, so speaking of that, I heard you recently jumped on the subject of the Mandela effect, right? So
yesterday we were
did find that
quite heavily, yeah.
Yeah, I found that a little interesting, and I would like to discuss that with you, just to,
sure,
if you don't mind.
No, don't mind.
So, to start off with, do you believe it's possible for the laws of physics to change? Is that something you believe?
Yeah, I don't think it's a matter of I believe. Like this is an idea that absolutely vitiates the circles of mainstream physics. It's not even out there. It's like, yeah, they believe that currently the most stable thing you can say is that the laws of physics are basically the local minima of some higher execution space.
So I heard you say you the Buddhists. You study a little bit about the Buddhists. Do you know anything about the Tao Te Ching?
Of course.
Okay. I feel like there's like some certain teachings with the mandala, and like these circles within circles,
Sure.
having to, and it has to do with like change, right? And learning to let go.
Sure.
You know what I'm referring to?
Yep.
Okay, so what do you think
but
the
you realize
Mandela
that at
effect
least with
is?
the Mandela effect, it's not why it's called that. Now, it would be interesting to see if it's kind of like a double entendre that reality injected into whatever's going on. But at least in the case of why it's called that, it's not because of that Mandela.
Okay, so what do you think the Mandela effect is?
The Mandela effect is based on the fact that a lot of people remembered that Nelson Mandela um, died in the early 90s or at the end of the 80s, and then all of a sudden it was declared that he died in 2013 or something like that, and everybody said, wait, wait a second, well we remember that he died a long time ago. And then a bunch of people said that and say, wait, okay, so that's the way it was born.
Yeah.
And then people went from there, like they started finding a bunch of things like that.
Okay, so next question right here. Do you believe, do you acknowledge or like recognize that there is certain levels of truth, and then there, for example, there is like the mainstream, what the mainstream media presents as the truth, right? Which is very surface level and oftentimes wrong.
Almost all the
Oftentimes,
time
like,
now, because it's all
false.
clickbait. Yeah.
Okay, so there are deeper levels of truth. So do you think you are presenting to me a mainstream narrative version of what the Mandela effect is, or do you think you gotten to the core of what it is?
So I'm not presenting it. I was looking into how we can explain it in terms of.
Well, I was asking what you think it is, and you presented to me what you thought it was, which was a mainstream narrative.
I guess I'm not. Yeah. So I guess I'm not understanding your question. Are you asking me, do I understand that there's maybe a deeper explanation of what the Mandela effect is?
Yes, I'm saying there's different narratives that are told about a phenomenon.
No, there's one narrative.
There's phenomena.
There's one narrative. What we're talking about, what you're really asking me, is that is there a way to explain if the Mandela effect would be real? Is there a way to frame it in ways that still adhere to some kind of a more sophisticated understanding of reality versus just a bunch of fools that misremember? Is there a way that to explain it in terms of reality, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, of course, and we were talking about this as well. So the way that I kind of go about things is I'm trying the whole way, to the best of my ability, to kind of play both roles of the argument all the time. Like, okay, here's a simple way to explain it. Here's a way to maybe steelman the argument, and this is a way to explain it away. Which one is stronger? Okay, moving on. Next point. And then I keep doing this on both ends. So this is how I think about everything. I don't marry myself to the outcome or what I think it is, especially if I don't know much about it. I kind of look at each detail of the information very slowly, which sometimes is way too slow for other people, but I take it very slowly and I go through each and every one. I'm like, okay, what makes sense to me here? What is the most likely impression I get after I did the whole, here's a way to explain it away, here's a way to steelman it, and which one holds more water for me? And then together I aggregate it into a fuller picture, and then I see what makes sense to me in that instance. At no point, but before you say yours, at no point do I marry myself to the proposition. So, for example, even if I'm absolutely convinced of something, and there is such a state where you're just like, well, I just know it now, right? But even then, if new information presents itself and I should change my mind, I will.
Okay, so you believe, so I'm hearing you say there could be at a certain point that you might believe that you are a female. Like is that possible? Like there could be some information presented to you where you're going to say, okay, I guess I'm a
not according to the definitions that we have of what a female is and what it means in this reality. No.
So because I think there's some things we can say we know, and there's no like changing that. There's no like there. I think there is such thing as objective truth, right?
I agree fully. Yeah.
even though even if the laws of physics are changing, there's still some objectivity out there.
Yeah. So objective truth doesn't mean the laws of physics. Objective truth, the way I define objective truth, the truth of everything, is just the state of affairs. Whether you ever going to know it holds no bearing whatsoever on the truth itself. It's just whether you have a frame of it. But
okay, so reality you acknowledge is not simple. Like reality is very complicated.
Absolutely.
And if anything, it's a phenomenon. It's an
100%.
amazing miracle that we're living in.
100%.
That's hard to comprehend.
100%.
Okay, so but you want to think about it and do this Arkham's razor thing and just go with the simplest explanation. I understand, like, yeah, it's good to do that when you don't know, but there are things we do know. We can learn off of the things that we know, and
I would say in order to get to the real truth, there's only one way to do it in terms of direction. So what I mean by that is that there's many paths up there, but there's a difference between going up and down that mountain. And in order not to go down the mountain, what you want to make sure to do, even though there's infinite ways for you to be wrong, and there's only a few ways for you to be right, and this is exactly why you want to go slow, and you actually want to go one step at a time. So in fact, the wildest things about reality, you will only know them if you allow yourself to be adhering to what we call the rules of science.
Yeah. I mean, okay, science. Yeah, I have no problem with science. I like science. I think that's one way, to know the truth. Using certain methods, logical, quote unquote, methods.
No,
I think certain logic applies to
just to be clear, so we have the same view of the same object. For me, science as a whole, capital S science, is a lot larger than how humans define science today. For me, capital S science, in other words, the archetype of what science can be ultimately, it's just the enterprise of human understanding. That's it. Which means that you can involve all kinds of modalities that currently we don't involve in mainstream science. So, for example, I would say that meditation is absolutely a science. It is the science of the inner observation, because you look at something closely, you try and repeat the process, you're looking at results, and you want to see if you can gain the same direction, and you can share that information. That is science. It's just the science of the inner space, but it is science to me.
I would take it a step further and say because mainstream narrative tries to say science is a human thing. What they say, it's intelligent observation, right? And I would say science is a natural process that is always occurring in nature.
Yeah,
it doesn't require
exactly
human.
We agree. So the enterprise of understanding, period, I would say, yes.
Yeah. It's just a naturally unfolding, this scientific method.
So in the context of the way that I was going about the Mandela effect, is that first, before I get... So the first thing to recognize is that even though reality is a lot weirder than we currently suppose, and maybe weirder than as the famous Haldane statement, much weirder than we can suppose, still there's ways to be wrong and right about what in fact is going on. That never goes away, right? So even though I'm absolutely of full awareness that there's a lot more than people currently entertain, I don't want to get sucked into a wrong and a waste energy direction that isn't actually happening. And in order to know...
Wait.
Yeah. No,
you said there's right and wrong ways to know, but what are those methods? Because like I said, if the methods are determined on the science, and the science is determined on the literal laws of physics, which are subject to change.
They're not based on the laws of physics, no.
How do we know things then? How can we know what the truth is? If it's not through scientific methods.
There's a whole field in philosophy, I'm sure you know, it's called epistemology. It's the science of knowledge in general. And there are very interesting epistemological truths. Now, I'm not big on definitions for the sake of definitions, but there are certain rules that if you follow them, there's a lot less chances you're going to be full of yourself. And you want to adhere to some of them.
I love epistemology.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
could talk
but no, no.
epistemology all day.
So right. So my point is, you asked me how do you know anything? My claim would be that knowledge is a state of an it's an informational state in a information processor like our brain that mimics the actual thing that is going on in all whatever
I
informational
agree.
space. Yeah.
I agree,
That's what
100%.
that's what knowledge that's how I would define the state of knowing something.
So you can learn. You can know. We can learn something from a dream, right? Is that possible to gain insight with
As long as it's
from
applicable,
within?
as long as it's applicable, yes, of course. It doesn't matter where the information came from. If it's
As long
applicable
as it's applicable to what?
to reality.
Okay, what does applicable mean again? Because like as long as you could apply it to reality, right?
Yeah,
Somehow?
as long as it tracks either a map you have that you can navigate through, something you can do, something you can build, something you can reliably replicate, things that basically are
Yeah.
continuous over the space that you are residing in. In our case, it's space time, but it can be any space. It doesn't really matter. Whatever the reality
so
of your existence, that's the space that you're going to be operating in.
I feel like there's some resistance that you have towards my experience in regards to or not even my experience, just this perception of how reality can be. Because
I don't know what your experience. You know what your perception is, so I don't know how I would be resistant to something I don't even know what it is. I didn't hear you stating it.
Okay, Okay, so one time, I think I had told the story before. I'll say it again.
Sure.
I became out of existence.
Okay.
Right. I became the universe, and I saw into all dimensions. And I saw backwards and forwards into time.
Okay.
And I was aware of the infinite. It was above me, all around me.
Cool.
And I could salve it. And I did come to the awareness that our consciousness is directly connected to the smallest form of energy that is making up matter. So literally all of matter is conscious, but it doesn't mean not in the sense that you're saying like, not in the sense that you're saying like it's connected to consciousness, but the energy itself is not the consciousness.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's it. And I say you're resistant because of the fact that yes, this is a dream state. We are in a dream state right now. Like and I wanted to ask you, how can you tell the difference between a dream state that you quote unquote when you're sleeping versus the one now in your supposed waking state? How do you know the difference between the two? Because right now you are in your head. In your dream, you are in your head. There is not that much difference from experience. Like it's neurons firing.
Enormous difference.
Okay, there I'm done.
Wait.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah. No. No. I hear you. First of all, I have no resistance to anything that you said. Your experience might be even tracking something that is very real, and that might be what reality is ultimately. What I'm saying is that from the perspective of you, the unit in the space that you're occupying, there are certain rules by which you are operating as the physical unit that you are in this space. If you would be in some other space, let's say the dream space that you're saying is also as real, then you would have certain rules of that dream space. In fact, in the last Zoom members call that we had a member that said she has a book of a guy who was specifically, and not Carl Jung, he was specifically exploring the boundaries of the rules of dreams, and he discovered there are rules. There's unbreakable rules in dreams, particular ones. I don't know what they are, and I should probably ask her what the book was again. But she said no, there's absolutely rules, and she was testing them. Like you can't break them, just like you can't walk through the wall. So
yeah, that's true. I agree.
So every space has its own rules. Now, just to be super clear as to where I'm coming from, it's never to say my view of the world must be more correct than your view of the world. It's more like an exchange of ideas of what we can utilize together to move towards a better space. And I would claim, and I don't know if you would agree or disagree, But I would claim that having a more and more accurate map of what the world really is an important one. Now, I know maybe not you, but I know a lot of people would bite the bullet and say, what do you even mean? The world is just whatever you make it. I don't even know what that means. I don't think they know what that means. In reality, you have an infinite space of possibility, but it is always constrained by your local space to some degree. The degree to which it is constrained is what you would call the laws of physics. They are still probably malleable in some greater space, without a doubt, but the only thing that might be relevant for the period in which you exist as the unit that you are, it's worth asking, what are these bounds, what are these rules, and how you can either transcend them, bend them, change them, all of that stuff. So under that category, I don't think anything that anybody is doing in the spiritual realm is any different than what people are doing in labs, aside from the fact that very often what happens, unfortunately, is that people do drift into foolishness more often in the spiritual realm than people in the scientific realm. However, the flip side of that is that, there you go, a lot of people in the scientific world close themselves to possibilities that are real because of the rigidity that they create with the world models. So it's almost like you got to weigh in your what modality you want to adopt depending on what you're trying to do. I'm trying to the best of my ability to stay open to both, depending on the situation and what we're trying to do. So right now, when you tell me about your experience, I've experienced similar states. I know what you're talking about. I don't think at all that what you're saying is just like some kind of a delusion. I think it's probably very close to what reality is, how it operates, at least on our level. What I am, however, always asking is, what relevance does it has? So how it's applicable to the immediate space that you're in. If you can show me on a regular basis that because of access to that information, you can now on a regular basis make things levitate, I'm just using something silly on purpose. I'll say, yo, that's crazy. Okay, I'm listening. Not because before I didn't believe you, but because now I see that there's an applicable thing to this space. And by the way, to make it super clear, it has nothing to do with utilitarianism. It has to do with the fact that if you can mimic, if you can create something, if you can do something through the acquisition of knowledge that you went through, that means it maps onto something in the world and it has value on its own accord because you're now mapping something real. But it's not necessarily because, oh, now we get to control another part of reality. No, it's just like, that's, to me, a moment of understanding is a transcendent moment. It's a moment of connection. That's how you connect with everything else that's going on. There's many modalities of doing that, and some of them are through observation and instruments. Others are through direct experience. However, it is a slippery slope because very often what people would do is that they would have a very strong experience and they would take it to be the ultimate thing. And just a final tying of the point to your direct question was, how can I possibly know that I'm not in a dream right now? Very easily. If you actually pay attention, there's a lot of differences between a dream and this. In a dream, the edges of things are a lot less sharp, first of all, just from a technical standpoint. The edge detection is way higher in reality, what we call reality. Continuity over time. And again, it has nothing to do with like better or worse. It's just that's how I'm discerning it. What's interesting, people say, yeah, but when you're in a dream, you don't know you were in the dream. Only when you wake up, you know you were awake and that was the dream, right? Sure, but notice something. When you go to hyperspace, from that hyperspace, you might also not remember that this was this space, but when you go back here, you do remember that that was more than this, not the other way around. So when you go back from hyperspace to here, you don't have the impression of like, was that a dream? It doesn't feel like a dream. It feels more than a dream. It feels more than this. So I would say there's actually a hierarchy here. There's dreams, there's reality, and then there's whatever it is that we're experiencing beyond it. All of it ultimately is reality, of course. But I was gonna say that. Yeah, of course. But ultimately, the moments of perception are the ones that are following you everywhere, which is why I keep repeating this in the last few days. And again, it sounds like you're super well read, so you're probably familiar. But there's this really famous short book called "Wherever You Go, There You Are," right? And this is the thing that I'm constantly trying to tell people, which is that whatever you believe about the world, the horizon of relevance always have to be there. You always have to ask yourself, why does it matter to you? Because if you think that you're ascending to the 5 dimensions in 3 months because you think it's going to solve all your problems, It won't. The fact that you're going to now become in 5D and you tend to get pissed off, well, you're just going to get pissed off in 5D. That never changes.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah,
like
that's true.
yeah, it's just like that's no,
I agree.
exactly. So you are it's still on you to do the work. Like you still have to change yourself. You still have to like bring yourself to a better state of being. Forget about the fact that probably there's no way you're going to ascend anywhere unless you fix that first. But even if you would, this is like another form of it is like what we talked about yesterday, which is like the disclosure, right? Okay, cool. The disclosure happens tomorrow morning. What happens? You still have to go to work, no? It's like now you have all your same ideas, same dispensations, same ways of you interacting with people. That didn't change. So now you know there's aliens. Cool. Like, but if you're miserable, you're still going to be miserable. People always look for these quick, get rich quick schemes. Like, and get rich here just refers to a better state. Like, I just want everything to be fixed. Just wipe everything clean. I want to escape the simulation, which is kind of funny. Like when we start discovering that truly this reality is kind of like holographic in nature and has like levels and all that stuff, the first thing people do is like, how do I escape this? And nobody seems to notice that that's not should not necessarily be your first move. Like, why is the first thing that comes to your mind is how do I escape this? It means that you're miserable here. It's like if you would be happy.
My first thing was I want to see what the hell was out. I want to see the different realities. That's what I was thinking.
There you go.
What other? If this is one reality and there's more, what else is out there? I want to know what else I'm missing out on.
And that's a beautiful. And we're on the same page, you and I. Like that for me, that's like a joyride. To find out new novel things, that's like a joyride. But I have to admit that in other parts of my life where I was not as healthy psychologically and spiritually, yes, I was using a lot of these things to escape my current reality because I didn't want to be in it. But when I found a stronger ground to stand on as what I really am, and I started connecting to that, it all became a blessing. Like all of it. It's just like the hard moments, the good moments, like all of it is a blessing. And to the extent that you can remind yourself that, well, now every single thing that comes is like, oh my God, it's just like treasure, like everything. And now you can start piling up all the amazing things and really enjoying them. What's the point?
I do want to say one thing.
Yeah.
I do want to jump in here.
Sure.
So I would have to do a little pushback here because when it comes to dreams and experiences that people have within those dreams, there's a wide variety of different, things. It's very subjective. Like some people, what the heck were you saying? You said something specifically about a dream. Hold on.
Oh, edge detection.
Some people know.
Over time. Yeah.
Some people remember. Some people know they're dreaming. Like they could be in a dream. They're completely aware they're dreaming.
Sure. And you can do that in
they do whatever they want.
Yeah. All I'm saying is that there's something.
Wait, hold on. I'm almost done.
Oh yeah.
I'm almost done. There's another one where I've done it before, where I'm dreaming. I'm the character and I'm the person thinking. I know what they're thinking, and I'm going through the experiences. They're not thinking at all. This is a dream. But once they got to wake up from the dream, then they're like, oh, I got to go to work. My human version, my other version of me needs to do stuff. I got to go. I'll see y'all later. Okay. And literally, that will be like the thoughts within the character in the dream. Like they know that there's another version somewhere else that needs to go work, and they're completely unaware of them, but they're kind of still aware of
so let
other
me see if I
going on.
understand what you're saying. So you're saying that you met dream characters that actually live in the dream, and when people dream them, they kind of take over, but they know that there's like a separation between the dream character and the character that lives quote unquote real life. So when the character from real life has to go to work, it's like, oh, they're leaving me. Like, so what happens to these dreams in the character? They become what when the person leaves?
It's a part of me. Literally, it's a part of my consciousness.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a part of their consciousness, and they're a part of my consciousness.
I don't see it as a pushback. We're fully agreeing. There's levels to your perception that all exist at once, and where you are in this elevator determines how much agency you exhibit on that level. And I think that ultimately, in our local bubble, we are all of these roles. Yes, I think you would agree with that. And then ultimately, it culminates into some kind of a unified perceiving entity. Which, by the way, and I don't know if you would agree with me on that one, is not the only one. So there are other bubbles like ours.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not. I agree 100%. Yes, we're on the same page. 12,000%.
Yeah. So the higher self is not alone. Like it's not God. It's one of the infinite bubbles that exist out there. Yeah.
Yeah, because they're okay. Look, this is what I was saying. Literally, when I became all of existence, I became the universal consciousness,
Everything.
and that's a level of consciousness. There's different levels of consciousness. There's one called the collective consciousness. That's not the universal consciousness.
Yep.
I would say that's actually in direct opposition to the universal consciousness.
I would say it's part
there
of,
is
but yeah.
the natural, and then there is the normal, and there is a opposition between the two.
What is the opposition between the two?
Destruction and creation.
Interesting. So would you say there's just like separation and reconstruction?
What are you?
So
what are you asking?
separation and dissolution to the all. Like, is that the binary basically?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, and I would say that it seems to me reasonable to assume that basically that's what the ultimate consciousness constantly engaged in, which is just like it kind of remembers and forgets on a regular basis because it gets bored and it fragments. One thought that I really thought was really neat, I don't know if it's true, but I thought it did make sense to me to some degree, and I just like novel thoughts that I never really thought about before. You probably heard it before. I think I'm pretty sure it was voiced before, but I think Tom Campbell popularized it more than anyone, which is that God basically becomes aware last. So, like, actually, the universal consciousness has never experienced itself before. We are the first instances of it kind of experiences itself. So it's like we are in the process of making it there to become unifying consciousness. We keep imagining that moment already happened, but it never happened before. In fact, God only becomes conscious through beings like us. We're not the only ones, of course, but all the beings everywhere that capable of self-awareness, God slowly becomes aware through these like tentacles that are everywhere. We are one of them, basically. Now, obviously, I'm not putting it as a truth claim, but I just thought it was a really neat idea because I never thought about that before, and that's kind of wild and cool to think about.
Yeah, it's a part of self-discovery. I think that's true. I think we are a part of God. I don't think we are God. I think we're a little piece of God, and I think our own self-discovery is part of the ultimate self-discovery that's happening.
Yeah.
Let me do something real quick, and then I'll get back to you. But I need to just switch cars. I'm at work right now.
Sure. He's switch cars. It'll be hilarious if he's jacking cars while he's doing this. I mean, this is the most gangster thing ever. It's great. The philosopher.
Yeah, I'm doing a gun in 60 seconds thing.
Yeah, bro, it's like the philosopher car thief. It's amazing. This is like this is a Hollywood film. If you have a one-on-one, this is great. Just a person who keeps calling these shows and having all these like intellectual conversations, and they're like in a heist at the same time. This is great. I
mean, I've said this before to multiple people. I did lay the groundwork for what is known as like fungal computing. That's a pretty big thing, and yeah, I didn't get acknowledged for it, like always. Like, it's fine. I don't mind. Like, as long as the technology gets out there, that's what matters. But I think eventually I will get credited, more than likely after I'm dead.
Dope, man. Well, I'm honored. Elusive Truth saying I might be interested in collaborating. 85K on YouTube, 4K on X, Telegram. Be able to reveal more when you are cooking with lawyers. I'm working on something also. Cool. So to me, Elusive Truth, I don't want to sound like one of these annoying, like, oh, I don't care about, following. The truth, I don't really like. If the conversation is good, I'm always down. This is why I do these dailies. If we can always jump on a conversation on your channels or not on your channels, doesn't really matter. And in terms of collaboration, as long as it aligns with what we're trying to do, always. Like, there's our door is always open for suggestions, and we're always making everything super clear and super, like, it has nothing to do with like competing ideas or whatever. It's just like, does it adhere with the kind of energy that we believe is the thing that needs to happen next? And if it does, awesome. We should absolutely work together. So my email is always there. The best way to get a hold of me for these topics is dengoprox@gmail.com. dangoprox@gmail.com. But it just keep in mind, everybody, that if you email me your theory to this email, I will ignore it. This email is for work only. So why can't click on people's icons? I'm not sure, actually. I don't know why YouTube is so limited in this way.
I'm back.
Awesome.
I wanted to add one last thing. The aliens. There were some aliens. Oh my.
So you disappeared.
Yeah, I'm a security guard.
Oh, cool. No, you just disappeared. Like I can't hear you. Big hair, you lizard. Sounds like he's pretty enlightened. I don't know. Wait, what? What's up, Chaos 101? YouTube trying to love you. Circling around the not limited to aspects, functional limits in the contrary stance. Wait. I love you, Daniel. Like every sentence of yours is like Nietzsche. Like I gotta unpack it.
Okay, everything's. Oh.
What are you securing right now?
What am I securing? I'm at a parking lot, so yeah, I just make sure that no one steals the cars. Just coincidentally, he thought I was the car thief. No, I'm the car.
The car protector. You know, when I was just a small anecdote. When I was, I don't remember how old I was a teenager, and I was working in this like a valet, but like one of these people that also like you do everything. You take the money, you park the car, you do everything by yourself, basically in a like operating a whole car lot, right? That was we had a car theft one time in all the years that I worked there, and it was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay, so the guy comes over. There's it was before a big show in a theater. So the every some day of the week, I don't remember what it was. There's a always show in the theater, and obviously all the parking lots around would be like filled. That's the time, and then somebody was in a hurry to go to the show, so he just parked the car in the middle of the thing. He's like, "Hey, can I pay you later?" I'm like, "Sure." So he's like, "Here's the key." I'm like, wait. I still gotta get the information. So it's like I'm getting the information, and there's another guy comes over and like literally stands like super close to him, and he's like standing with him, and I'm like, all right, see ya, and then they both go. About 30 minutes later, the second guy comes back, and he's like, we gotta go, and I'm like, cool. And he pays me, and then he takes the car because he was with him, and then he leaves. 2 hours later, the original guy comes back, asking for his car. I'm like, what do you mean your friend took it? He's like, what friend? I said, the one that was with you. He said, I thought he was working with you. So he was standing on purpose, like super close to both of us. Like just just like by then it's like 2 hours gone.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one right there. That's that's how you do it if you wanna get away with something. But you know what? I had a really bad friend. He used to be a good friend, I thought, and he was basically telling me he was gonna do the same shit to me, but with my scooter. I had like a $1,000 scooter. I had to get it repaired, and for whatever reason, he wanted to like just leave me on the street and take all my stuff. And he was saying he was going to do something very similar to that.
This is crazy, dude. The fact that it worked, because everybody in a hurry, right? So he's like, yeah, it's like he's just he was standing so close to him. There's no way, and I guess the guy was just like, he doesn't want to say anything because he probably thinks it's somebody who works with me. So it's like just the fact that he was standing so close to both of us is what did the trick. It wasn't like outside of the thing. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like you gotta realize who the hell's around you. I need. That's one thing I realized. Like I need to realize who's trying to be around me, and you need to realize who's around you because they would do that. Like they would do this association thing, and then you think people think that other people around me are cool, and then they start talking to them. It's like, yo, why are you talking to that person like that? I don't know who the hell that is.
Yeah,
I don't know why you're talking to them. Like, I
and
don't
this
know.
happens all the
And
time. Like sometimes
I'm not associating.
yeah, sometimes you would meet, like you would go to a get together or whatever, and you would meet two people, and they were like kind of like talking and stuff, right? So you immediately assume
Yeah.
they either came together or whatever. There's like a deep relationship there. You always emphasize, you always exaggerate
Yeah.
that in your head, right?
Assume.
You feel the outsider, right? Later, when you
Yeah.
get to know one of them, you're like, oh yeah, that person, yeah, I just met him like that night. Like, but imagine
Yeah,
that about
yeah.
life in general. We always think that everybody kind of is in on something. Everybody knows something we don't. When in reality,
Dude,
most
that's how I've
likely,
been feeling.
nobody knows shit. Nobody knows anything. Like this is the craziest part. Like you get through high school and you later you look back and you're like, dude, nobody knew what was going on. But that's the case always. And this is why I keep trying to remind myself that like all the stuff that is happening that is like super like, people constantly email me and they give me all this like sometimes it's like ideas, but sometimes it's like they just impose what they think the world is and they're like, oh, let me tell you what's going on. I'm like, dude, you have no idea what's going on. That I know for sure. Just by the fact that you're telling me
Yeah,
you
yeah,
think you
right.
know. It's like you do you, I do me. Don't worry about it. It's like,
Wait, I would like to finish saying the last part because
sure,
I mean we already moved on from the story, but I did want to mention it because I did mention it before, and it's a part of the story, so I have to mention it whenever I tell the story.
yeah.
So basically, all of existence was coming out of like my umbilical cord when I was the universe. All of existence, yeah, it was in my umbilical cord, and I think it was connecting to infinity. Like I think that's where the umbilical cord was actually spiraling off to, which is infinity. But it was making all of existence, and I was looking into existence, and that existence mainly specifically was my own existence. It was my own life. So the spiral started from within my own life, and I was looking at my life spiral, and I saw some aliens. I saw the damn aliens. They were the Greys. They were in a spaceship. They were right above my head, and I was big. I was really big. So when I looked in the spaceship, I was just like a giant fucking consciousness, like entity. And they were like, "He could see us. He could see us. Press the button." And they pressed the button, and I just went back in my body, and I stopped hallucinating. Like I was just like, "What the
That's
hell
amazing.
was that?"
My wife has
So,
had an experience where she died and rebirthed herself multiple times. She saw like she was in a washing machine of like existence and she was like live a whole lifetime, die, then give birth to herself and then keep go like it just kept going like this. And obviously it was like she was like freaking out, but I've heard this many times. Where like the full like when you're saying umbilical cord into reality, like that's such a theme that people are experiencing, which makes me. This is why it kind of makes me think that there's definitely something going on there, which is like the perception kind of gives rise to itself. I guess to me, it's always like I don't know why that is. Truly, I don't know. I can't. I truly don't know. It's just how my brain works, and I can't do anything else. Just what my brain does. I was like, yeah, but what is it really? Like, but what is it really? Like, because that's really the the thing there. It's like it's that. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot going on, like you said, right? There's this like I'm always interested in
that's
what
what the
is it
Mandela
really?
effect. That's what I was gonna go back to with the Mandela effect. In reality, it's not. It's not just that thing. Like, there's a lot of things that are going on here, and it's multiple things. Like, yes, it is time travel. Like, believe it or not, it sounds crazy. If you believe that, like in this code thing, you believe that reality can be programmed, then yeah, you should be able to. I would think that you should be able to understand time can be programmed. Like our concepts of reality can easily be programmed and changed
Sure,
at the snap of a finger, at the push of a button.
but you just said it.
And
Somebody would have to program it, right?
say again.
But you said it yourself. It can be programmed, which means it was programmed by someone, right?
I think it's. Uh, I think our understanding of the words we're using is limited, and it confuses us more than it gives us understanding. I need to talk to my boss again. Hold on.
All right. This is great. That is meta. Yeah, that was a wild one. Nico, you still there?
Yeah, I just uploaded the simulation into the science channel of
Let me
the
see.
server.
Let me see. Science channel.
Kind of overwhelming, but
Yeah, you made it sound like there's gonna be some explosions.
yeah.
Wait. So this is basically on the influence of what? The spirit molecule?
This is just a spirit molecule and it's natural vibration. It's 37 Celsius,
Okay.
just doing its thing, you know?
That's how they vibrate?
In a perfect solution. Or wherever. In a vacuous space. It's probably different when there's like water and stuff present, but dude, yeah, I don't know if we live in a simulation, but that took a long time, you know, and that's only 12 femtoseconds of reality.
Yeah, but their time is different, bro. Different.
Yeah,
It's made out of marshmallow. They have a time made out of marshmallow.
Yeah. Did you listen to the Danny Jones podcast today?
With Rizwan?
Yeah.
I didn't. I started watching the first 10 minutes. Why?
He you know, I mean, I think actually Carter's friends with Kai Dickens, so I want to get the down low on it, but he kind of assumed it was correct, and I also kind of bought into it, but I think you were casting some like reality check on that, right? You were
No, I think there's something there. I just think that it's the way she was going about it was like super unscientific for me. And I know she attached this other researcher, Diane, right? Something who did study this and everything. So I guess sure. And I'm very like first of all, I was surprised to learn that a lot of people are way more open to telepathy than I thought, including Gallimore, by the way. Like for him, telepathy is a lot more acceptable than anything else. And I don't know why. I guess maybe there's just we only know what we know and only the stuff that we interacted with. And I definitely think there's something there. I just the thing that makes me suspicious, I guess maybe that's what you were calling, is that whenever we have these like very clean cut, neat lines of arbitrary categories. So for example, the fact that they're all nonverbal autistic kids, like because it's kind of like they are the, you know, usually we thought of them as like the incapable of functioning, all that stuff. All of a sudden discover, oh, they're just superheroes. I mean, that's a little bit too convenient, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like what is the thing really happening there? Like what is it about their inability to speak that allows them this access? That's the question, right?
The meathead explanation this guy gave on Danny Jones today, he said that people with autism are like halfway into the suit. I guess it's like a panpsychism thing where like
Okay.
they're just kind of not functional, but they're still tapped into the ether of consciousness.
Yeah. But that's a very would you agree with me that that's pretty hand wavy?
Super meathead. I mean, I think it's like yeah, no, that isn't fine.
It isn't an MIT explanation.
Yeah, exactly. It's like yeah, but you know, I don't know. I mean,
no, look, the thing I think I spoke about this before. The thing that did convince me to some degree that there's something very interesting there was the second episode when she was talking to that Indian kid in Jersey. And when they discovered that he said he did not know he had a body, I immediately, all my spidey senses were like, whoa, that's interesting. So there's like coordinates, there's like an address to whatever the physical body is. So that, by the way, fully plays very well with my frame because there's an address, there's a space, there's a map on which we have to find the address, right? So there's coordinates that you have to find within the physical body to map whatever the informational structure is doing to move the body, so to speak, right? The puppet. So if you didn't know he had a body,
wait.
Yeah.
I want to say something real quick. This reminds me of a thing where I literally went crazy one time, smoking synthetic. What was it called? Like Climax or it was a synthetic weed that they used to sell back in the day.
Never heard of it, but yeah.
And, okay, so they call it Climax. They call it K2 Space. There's a couple of different names that they call it. And basically, I took one hit of that one time, and yeah, I went basically crazy. I started hearing I started having all these experiences of like different times. Like I was back in the Roman times, at a Roman wedding. A I was like a crazy person in when they strap you down onto the bed.
Mm-hmm.
I was like a robber, like running away from the cops. I was having all of these different experiences all at once. I was having these memories and these experiences, and then I was hearing like cries. I was hearing laughing. I was hearing anything that the human can experience. I was hearing it and I was experiencing it, and it was all this noise going on in my head, and I was thinking like I want to go home. That's what I was thinking. I want to go home, and basically I said that I want to go home, and I started oming, and all of those voices and all of those experiences and everything, they all started oming at the same time. And when I started oming, I felt like I was in all of these different realities, and it made me come back into this one reality that I was in, and I was not crazy no more.
How is this mapped to what we said? I mean, that's a crazy story, but how is it mapped to like not knowing what your body is? Oh, it's because you kind of lost the ability to perceive your body.
Because I lost the ability of what my body was, and I was experiencing all these other bodies, all these other experiences at once.
I see. Okay, cool. All right. Nico, there's anything else that you had a thought on that?
No, I mean synthetic cannabinoids are definitely very.
No. About the other point that we were saying when the way that Verk was outlining it. About the telepathy tapes. You started saying something about the way that he was describing telepathy tapes.
Yeah, no. I just thought it was interesting. I mean, he seemed to kind of like give a lot of credibility to that, which I also was very captivated by the story. I think it's an awesome podcast. But I think he was kind of like taking it as 100% fact, and he had a whole hand wavy mechanism for it. But he's a video game creator, so I think his natural inclination is the kind of the argument that if you just extrapolate our video games, at some point it'll be indistinguishable from reality.
Yeah, I think ultimately it's all informational patterns that are just kind of happening, and of course, ultimately they are this universal consciousness of some sort. But the rules by which they're propagating is, computational, and therefore it must be. The most straightforward explanation is this kind of like a version of the matrix, but it's a natural matrix that is always unfolding and creates subspaces within itself constantly, which really isn't different than infinite universes, just that they operate under computational rules that give rise to separate physical rules. But ultimately, it is the same idea. Like, I don't even think it's necessarily saying something different. It's just like reframing slightly to play with a larger repertoire of possibilities.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. So, okay. We're getting it 2 hours, and like this is after midnight. I gotta get to sleep, even though I'm like fully awake. I don't know why. Piggy Butt, thank you so much, brother. It was an absolute pleasure. Did we say?
Yeah, we're gonna talk more later. I wanted to say some more stuff, but later.
We will do it tomorrow because today I gotta adjourn. But thank you so much, brother. That was really, really enjoyable. If you guys also want to follow Nico, our beautiful guest on TikTok, NIKOMACKAY on TikTok, NIKOMACKAY. Nico, you're a G. If you guys want to follow me across platforms, it will be Danny Goller on Instagram and TikTok. It will be Goller Danny on X. It will be LaserX83 on Twitch and Dango Thoughts on YouTube. DANGO Thoughts on YouTube. Come join the membership program because we do these with deeper dives every week for members only every Sunday, and you gain access to that if you join the membership program. You can also join the second tier of membership, which will give you access to Zoom calls with me. One is coming up, in which we do a shared Zoom call like this, and we really there's not a lot of people in it, so it's pretty tight group, and it's a very nice conversation. So you can join that. You can join our Discord group that I highly recommend you do. Find the link on YouTube and in the link tree on TikTok. And if you want to still contribute to the film, you can do so by finding the trailer on my channel, Dango Thoughts, DANGO Thoughts. Find the trailer for the Discovery, and in the description you're going to find the link to our GoFundMe page where you can donate to the film still, and you can do the same on TikTok here in the link tree. By the way, I think it's $1,000, which is a very, very hefty donation. But if you do that, I think it is. You can look up in the grades. You also get to be the first people on the planet to see the film. We're gonna do a streaming and or an event in which people can come and see the movie together for the first time ever before anybody has ever seen it, which I think is kind of neat. So you can do that on our link tree, on our GoFundMe page of the movie. You can go to codeofreality.com to find our merch and lasers and all the stuff that has to do with the project. And I'm going to remind everybody that I'm going to keep reminding every single day, if you have the ability to donate $1 to the person of need, I'm going to be sending this to the person directly. Unfortunately, currently you can only do this on YouTube. People have been donating very generously in the last few days, a lot more than $1. And Casey, the current person of need, is very, very grateful for this. But I would say that $1 every few days is more than enough to actually feed and house at least 2 or 3 individuals a month. Currently, we're starting with Casey, which for $150 a month, we can literally make sure that he eats and has a place to stay and doesn't have to sleep on the street. I should probably do a spiel every day about the person of need, but today I don't know if I have enough of the energy left. Casey is an individual that I identified who's an incredible guy, but he is just in a situation in life where, he's doing is kind of like trying to stay there. Thank you so much, Icon. I appreciate you. That goes directly to Casey. And he just trying to like focus on restabilizing himself and write. He's actually a professor who kind of, but he cannot, take my word for it, currently cannot sustain himself. So if we can help with that and he's just the first person we're going to be doing it with, I figured, because there's a lot of people coming to these chats, if we donate $1 by different individuals on different days, every 4, 5, 6 days, we can actually help at least 2 or 3 individuals a month, which is really beautiful. And it means a lot to people, because for us, it's $1 and for them, it can be a meal, right? Now, that being said, if that $1 means a lot to you too, please do not donate it. Even though it's very beautiful and novel, don't do it. Make sure that it only comes from a complete flow. And if you already have the abundance to donate this with great ease, only then I would encourage you to do so, because it's very fulfilling to help individuals who are a lot less fortunate than ourselves. And I am constantly every day allocating some time of thinking how we going to create something that would actually, through our attention and through our donations, would help a lot more people on a much greater scale. So that is also in the works, and it will be very fulfilling to be able to do all of this together. I really appreciate the community, really appreciate these lives. Thank you so much for everybody participating. I want to acknowledge our incredible moderators, Ebony and Chris, who we're missing dearly because they've been having some fun together, and they couldn't show up in the last few days, but we love you very much. Guru, thank you so much for always being here, always being on top of it. That's amazing. Jessica, appreciate you as well. Thank you so much for all the participants who are always here. Thank you so much, Benevolent Sky, for also being a moderator on TikTok. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for the new and the old participators who always come, share ideas, ask questions, engage, make this channel what it is, and make it so much fun to be a part of. Come join our Discord. Find the links on TikTok and on YouTube. Love you guys. See you tomorrow. Peace and love. Ciao, everyone. Woohoo! Whoa, 400 hours on TikTok. 400 hours, baby. Today is technically live 300, even though it says 275. We also have 25 of them there for members only. So, did I forget anything? No. Have a good night, guys. Love you very much. Have a good night.